Did you know that the human brain consists of around 100 billion neurons? This is one of the many reasons why it is regarded as the most complex organ in the body, primarily due to the various functions it is responsible for, ranging from controlling body movement to influencing behavior. Scientists have been researching this mysterious organ for decades, and yet, despite all of the research that has been done and with all of the advanced technology nowadays, there is still so much to learn about it. The good news is, you don't need to be an expert in neuroscience to benefit from this knowledge, because in this video I'm going to share with you how you can increase your brain power over the next 7 days. But first, let's briefly explore the anatomy of the brain. Don't worry, I'll keep things simple. The brain weighs about 3 pounds and is surrounded by a clear liquid called cerebrospinal fluid, which provides a layer of protection for the brain tissues and removes metabolic waste products. The brain can be divided into 3 main segments. The first segment is the forebrain, also known as the cerebrum, which is the largest part of the brain. This is responsible for higher and conscious functions which require thinking, such as your senses, memory, behavior and personality, the ability to read, write and speak, and motor activities. The second segment is the midbrain, or the mesencephalon, the smallest part of the brain, ranging between 1.5 to 2 centimeters in length. It is responsible for relaying information related to vision and hearing. Since it is part of the brainstem, it is linked to the spinal cord and sends out information to the rest of the body. Finally, the last segment is the hindbrain, also known as the cerebellum. This part of the brain is responsible for functions such as balance control, motor learning, and regulating your posture. By the way, I will be leaving all of the research for this video down in the description. Now that you are equipped with the very basics of the brain anatomy, let's dive into each method. When it comes to any form of recovery, sleep is vital, and I mean quality sleep. It is known to help the brain with learning and forming new memories. During sleep, a structure inside of the forebrain called the hippocampus transports memories to other storage sites, where they are converted from short-term to long-term memories. During this process, memory retention and recall increases between 20 to 40%. On the flip side, a lack of sleep increases the likelihood of having high blood pressure, diabetes, and narrowed blood vessels, which will restrict blood flow to the brain. And since blood carries nutrients and oxygen around the body, the brain will be deprived of this, which will impair the ability to retain and learn information by up to 40%. A lack of sleep will also result in poor focus, thinking, and decision making, which is why cramming the night before an exam isn't usually the best thing to do, since the brain needs time to process all of that information properly. To improve the quality of your sleep, it is recommended that adults over the age of 18 should sleep between 7 to 9 hours. Anything more can be detrimental to memory processing as well. Though this study states the recommended sleeping hours for US and Canada, it does give a reasonable indication as to how much sleep you should have. To ensure consistent quality of sleep, consider getting some blackout curtains for your room and try to keep it quiet. This will provide a comfortable environment for you to sleep in. Limit your daytime naps if you have any to prevent disruption to your sleeping schedule. Finally, try not to use your phone or other devices before you sleep due to the blue light that they emit, which prevents the production of melatonin, the hormone that helps you to sleep. Some stress is good for the brain. A small amount of it causes the release of adrenaline, which increases your focus and attention, as well as other cognitive functions short term. However, the brain does not react well to high levels of stress over time. It becomes difficult for your brain to create short-term memories and then store them as long-term memories. When you experience stress, your brain sends signals to the adrenal glands, which then release the stress hormone cortisol, that then travels via the bloodstream to the hippocampus, and higher levels of cortisol in the hippocampus will affect its function when creating and retaining new memories. Aside from memory, chronic stress can lead to both physical and mental changes. It can affect mood and lead to mental disorders such as anxiety and depression, as well as cause areas associated with emotions and memory within the brain to shrink. So if you do find yourself suffering from stress frequently, try implementing exercise into your lifestyle, since it stimulates the production of endorphins, which are hormones that help boost your mood, plus many other positive changes it will bring. Another way to reduce stress is to spend time learning new hobbies to distract your mind. Start practicing deep breathing, which is an easy way to relax your body to alleviate stress. This is great when combined with meditation. And lastly, I want you to start adopting a mindset to not worry about things that are not in your control, because I have noticed, at least in my life, this is a large contributor to stress. Instead, focus your energy on matters that are in your control because you are fully responsible for your own actions. The brain is made up of about 75% water, meaning that staying hydrated is vital since it helps with cognitive functions. Water consists of minerals which provide structural support for cells and tissues, and the brain needs this to undergo neurogenesis, which is the process of making new brain cells. Water also plays a role in flushing out toxic metabolic waste that accumulates in the brain and the production of hormones. When the body becomes dehydrated, even as little as 2% of its water content, the brain is affected, which leads to impaired concentration, alertness, and short-term memory. Chronic dehydration can lead to cells in the brain to shrink, which is a common condition in elderly people who lived many years while being dehydrated. If you are someone who doesn't get much water in throughout the day, here's what you can do. Find out on average how long you stay awake for during the day. Say for example it's 16 hours and you plan to get in 2.5 liters. That means you need to consume about 156 milliliters every hour, which isn't even a full glass of water. That makes things much more manageable, right? You could even set a reminder on your phone for every hour to drink the amount of water you want to. In addition to this, if you do work out and want to make the most of it, sip some water throughout because it really does pile up fast. Consider making some smoothies using water. This way you will get nutritious foods in with a good amount of water. The brain utilizes more energy than any other organ in the body, and glucose is its primary energy source. But there is a limit to how much the brain actually needs, and anything more will have negative impacts. Sugar increases the production of dopamine in our brains, which leads to addiction, making us crave more. Over time, more sugar is required to achieve the same effect, leading to a vicious cycle of dependency. This is similar to how addictive substances affect the brain by creating a high sense of pleasure that diminishes over time, requiring an increased dose to achieve the same level of satisfaction. A high sugar diet can cause inflammation in the hippocampus, which affects memory and retention. The sugar destroys neuronal connections within the brain, which reduces the ability to learn and concentrate, meaning that the brain will start to slow down over time. Sugar cravings can be very tough to stop, especially if they're a result of abuse or trauma. The first thing to do is try reducing your sugar intake gradually rather than cutting it out completely. This gradual reduction can help you stay consistent over a long period of time rather than relapsing. Find healthy substitutes for refined sugars such as fruits, which contain natural sugars and other vitamins that benefit your health. Do some mix and matching. For example, if you are going to have some cookies, have them with some milk and fruits, which will create a more balanced snack. Finally, use a website like TDEE Calculator to determine how much you actually need to eat in a day based on your lifestyle. Limit your food intake to match the numbers provided by the calculator to help manage your overall diet. If you want to really grow your mind, one of the best things you can do is read, because it activates regions in the brain responsible for comprehension, memory, and critical thinking, which can enhance cognitive functions. Reading requires attention to detail and focus to process what is being said and follow the narrative. Engaging with complex texts and narratives strengthens the connections between regions within the brain, and this mental exercise can improve your overall brain connectivity, making the brain more adaptable and efficient. Some studies suggest that reading physical books can lead to better comprehension and retention compared to e-readers. There are many reasons why reading is beneficial for you, so I suggest that you start getting into reading if you haven't already. It doesn't have to be 3 hours a day. Set aside some time, even if it's just 15 minutes before bed, as long as it's consistent. Pick out genres of books that you find interesting, and this will make it a much more enjoyable session for you. Once you have done this, consider reading self-improvement books and try to progress in your life. You will never be able to learn from everyone, but learning from as many people as possible is a good way to seek new ways to better yourself. So there you have it. Here are 5 ways you can implement to start seeing an improvement in your brain power over the next 7 days. Remember that this is not a quick fix, so if you want to see long-term progress, then you need to stay consistent and disciplined. It's totally okay to miss a day or two here and there, but as long as you bounce right back, you'll be fine. Let me know in the comments if you notice any improvements with these methods and which ones you found to be most useful. Also, if you haven't already and you enjoyed the video, I'd appreciate it if you could like it and subscribe to the channel. It would mean a lot to me. Good luck, and I'll see you in the next video.